My wife's work trips were fake. I followed her once and it changed everything. It started with a receipt, not some dramatic confrontation or a lipstick stain cliché, but a small, curled piece of thermal paper that fell out of her purse one night when she got home exhausted from a work trip. I was the one picking up her bag because she complained about a sore shoulder. And as I lifted it, the zipper slid open, spilling out her charger, a half-empty bottle of perfume she never wore for me, and that receipt. A hotel receipt, from a city 3 hours away. That wouldn't have been strange, except the company she works for doesn't have an office there. I knew this because I helped her with her resume years ago. I remember every branch they have, every location they operate in. And that city wasn't on the list. I told myself it could be a conference, some kind of training. But then I noticed the date. It didn't match her trip schedule. She told me she was in Boston that week. The receipt said Philadelphia. I didn't confront her right away. No, I played dumb, acted like I hadn't noticed anything. Because deep down I knew, if I asked too soon, she'd have a cover story ready. And I needed the truth, not another lie. So I waited. I watched. The next business trip was only 2 weeks later. This time, I hugged her at the door, kissed her cheek, and watched her get into an Uber with a suitcase she packed while humming like she didn't have a care in the world. But I didn't go back inside. I had already booked my own car, already decided I'd follow her, no matter where she went. The Uber took her downtown first. She didn't go to the airport. Instead, she walked into a rental car lot. My stomach twisted. She wasn't even taking a train or flight. She was driving somewhere, and she didn't want me to know where. I followed her for hours. Every turn, every lane change felt like a punch to the chest. She never looked back, never noticed the same car 2 blocks behind. She stopped at a small boutique hotel, the kind with warm lighting, not corporate branding. I parked down the street, my hands shaking as I tried to decide whether to go in. Then she walked inside, and within 5 minutes, a man stepped out of the elevator and pulled her into a hug so intimate, so familiar, I felt like I was watching my entire marriage collapse in real time. I stayed in the car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. The lobby was small, the kind where every movement is visible, and through the large glass doors I saw her laugh, really laugh, in a way she hadn't with me in months. The man was tall, wearing a crisp blazer, and his hand rested casually on her lower back like it belonged there. My chest ached, not just from shock, but from the betrayal I hadn't even verbalized yet. I thought about calling her, screaming, demanding answers right then and there, but a part of me wanted proof. I needed the story, not a rehearsed excuse. So I parked a block away and watched. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. They disappeared into the hotel together, and I didn't move. I could feel my stomach knot, but I couldn't look away. Every laugh, every subtle touch, was a breadcrumb leading to a truth I wasn't ready to swallow. Finally, I left my car, pretending to be a passerby. I approached the hotel casually, pretending to check my phone. From the street, I could see them through a lobby window. He leaned down to kiss her cheek. No, more than a cheek. And she leaned into it as if she'd been waiting for that moment all week. A cocktail dress she'd never worn for me clung perfectly to her, her hair styled in a way I'd only seen for formal events. I'd never been invited to. This wasn't work. This wasn't business. This was something else entirely. I took a deep breath, trying to slow my thoughts. I remembered our last fight months ago, about honesty and time spent apart. She had smiled sweetly, promised she'd work harder on us, and I had believed her. And now, seeing this, I felt like a fool. Every small excuse, every late night at work, suddenly made sense. The perfume, the receipts, the sudden meetings she'd never mentioned, all pointing to this secret life she had carved out while I was home, waiting. By then, the man had left the lobby, and she followed, smiling, as if they were leaving together to continue some clandestine adventure. I watched her get into a car, not a taxi, not an Uber, a sleek black sedan with tinted windows. My mind raced. I could follow, I could confront, I could call the cops. But no, I needed the full picture. I needed undeniable proof that this wasn't a one-time mistake or a harmless fling. I got back into my car and started the engine, following at a safe distance. The streets blurred past as the adrenaline took over. Every stoplight felt like a trap. Every turn a decision that could shatter the fragile mask of normalcy we'd maintained. My hands were clammy, my heart pounding, and yet I felt a strange, cold clarity. I wasn't going to confront her just yet. I wasn't going to beg for honesty. I was going to see this through, collect every detail, and then decide what justice, or revenge, looked like. Hours later, when the sedan finally stopped at a small, quiet apartment complex on the edge of the city, I parked 2 blocks away and hid in the shadows. Through a crack in the blinds, I saw her again, laughing, unlocking a door, and slipping inside. My pulse was erratic, my mind spinning with every possibility. I realized something terrifying. I didn't know the woman I had married. And now, I would have to find out, piece by piece, what else she'd been hiding, and how deep this betrayal really went. The days that followed felt like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake from, yet I couldn't stop myself either. I adjusted my schedule to coincidentally be near the places she said she had work obligations. Every morning, as she left with her suitcase humming lightly, I felt the thrill and dread of starting another day of surveillance. Deep down, I knew this wasn't just a passing curiosity anymore, it was an obsession, a need to uncover a secret life she had carefully built while I believed in us. I began documenting everything meticulously. Photos of the cars she took, timestamps of her departure, notes on restaurants she visited, my own personal dossier. She moved through her days seemingly oblivious, calm, smiling at people I didn't know, her eyes never darting back as if she sensed the invisible shadow that was now tracking her every step. I felt like a ghost in our own life, seeing parts of her that were hidden from me, pieces of a story I wasn't supposed to know. Then came the first concrete proof. One evening, I followed her after a supposed dinner meeting with a client. She left her apartment carrying a small black purse, wearing heels I hadn't seen her wear in years, and stepped into a car I didn't recognize. I kept a safe distance, heart pounding as we drove into the quieter streets of the city. The car stopped in front of a small boutique hotel with soft lighting that seemed designed for secrecy. My stomach twisted. She wasn't going to a business event, she was meeting him. I watched from the shadows as she walked in, straight to the elevator. Moments later, the man appeared, the same one I had seen before. He pulled her close, whispering something I couldn't hear, and she laughed like a private joke shared between them. That laugh cut through me, more painful than any words could. I couldn't confront her yet, I had to see how deep this went. Over the next week, the pattern became undeniable. Late-night texts, work calls that lasted for hours, sudden trips to cities she had never mentioned. Each detail fit together like pieces of a puzzle I had feared existed. I found her hiding messages on a secondary app and discovered hotel bookings under a different name. The betrayal wasn't a one-time mistake. It was an ongoing, carefully orchestrated deception. By the middle of the second week, I decided to step up my surveillance. I rented a small apartment across the street from one of the hotels she frequented, giving me a full view without risking detection. Every evening, I recorded movements, conversations I could hear from a distance, and patterns in her behavior. The thrill of discovery was mixed with a sickening ache in my chest. I was learning her secrets, but each revelation burned me a little more. And then came the breaking point. One Friday evening, she left her apartment carrying a small suitcase. I followed her to the same hotel where I witnessed him waiting in the lobby. The way she approached him, the ease of their embrace, the familiar whispers, it was all too much. My hands shook, my vision blurred with rage and heartbreak. I realized this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about a double life that had been unfolding under my nose for months, maybe years. That night I drove home alone, mind racing with every possible scenario. I knew I had to confront her eventually, but first I needed undeniable proof, a plan that would ensure she couldn't twist the truth. I wasn't just a hurt husband anymore. I was an investigator, a man who had seen behind the mask, and I wasn't going to let her lies go unpunished. By the time I went to bed, every plan, every red flag, and every detail I had gathered crystallized into one undeniable thought. I had to see the full picture before taking action, and I knew that the next work trip would give me the opportunity to finally expose the truth, to watch her carefully constructed facade crumble, piece by piece. The day of her next business trip came faster than I expected. I watched from the apartment across the street as she packed her suitcase with the same light-hearted hum she always carried. My hands were trembling, but my mind was sharp. Every step she took had been mapped, every possible excuse accounted for. This time, I wasn't just following her. I was ready to catch her in the act, ready to gather every last piece of evidence I would need to confront her and leave nothing open to doubt. She left, and I trailed at a safe distance. The car ride felt endless, every turn a knot tightening in my chest. Finally, she arrived at the same boutique hotel I had observed countless times. I parked a block away, hiding behind a wall as I peered through my binoculars. The lobby was quiet, and for a moment my stomach sank. Had she sensed something? But then the elevator doors opened, and there he was. The same man, smiling, waiting. The way she lit up at the sight of him made my chest ache, but it also gave me the clarity I needed. This was no mistake. This was deliberate. I followed them inside, careful to remain unseen, watching as they disappeared behind a corner. My phone buzzed. I had already set up notifications on the hotel app to alert me to their room. I stayed hidden, recording, noting every detail. Laughter, whispers, soft touches, the way he rested his hand on her lower back. Every motion confirmed what I had feared. This wasn't a casual fling. This was her life when I wasn't looking. Hours passed. I waited, silent and tense, until finally she stepped out alone. Her phone lit up with a message, and she smiled before slipping into a taxi. I followed at a distance, my mind racing. It was time. I couldn't wait any longer. I parked nearby her apartment building, and when she entered, I confronted her in the hallway. "Emily," I said, my voice calm but heavy, "we need to talk." She froze, her eyes wide, a flicker of panic crossing her face. For the first time in weeks, I saw her unsure, unprepared. I laid out the evidence, the receipts, the hidden messages, the hotel bookings, the times I had followed her. Every lie, every deception, every moment she thought I hadn't noticed. It was all there. She tried to deny it, stammering, deflecting, but I had everything. Nothing she said could cover the truth. Tears filled her eyes as she realized the depth of exposure. I felt a surge of power mixed with devastation. 9 years of marriage reduced to secrets, lies, and betrayal. But I also felt relief. Relief that I knew. Relief that I had evidence. Relief that I could finally reclaim some control. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply showed her what I had collected, step by step, each fact undeniable. When she finally slumped against the wall, exhausted and broken, I stepped back. I realized revenge wasn't just about catching her. It was about justice, about clarity, about refusing to let the deception continue. I gave her space, walked away, and let the truth do its work. Friends, colleagues, even her own family soon heard the story. Not from me yelling, not from gossip, but from the irrefutable proof she could no longer hide behind. That night, as I sat alone in our apartment, I felt a strange mixture of sorrow, anger, and liberation. Our marriage was over, but the chains of lies had finally been broken. I realized something profound. Trust isn't just given, it's earned, and once broken, no lie can repair it. I didn't post anything online. I didn't make a scene. I let the truth stand on its own, cold, undeniable, and final. And in that silence, I finally felt the weight lift, not because she suffered, but because justice, in its quietest, purest form, had been served. If you've ever been in a situation where trust was broken, or caught someone you didn't expect, hit that subscribe button. We share real stories just like this. Would you follow the truth, no matter how painful it is? Like the video, if you stayed until the end, it helps us share more intense, real-life drama with you. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat.